Much for being here. Welcome to Emergence Festival.
Hello, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. And I just want to check if everyone hears and sees me. Hello. Can I have a
We can
okay?
hear you and see you. We have you spotlighted.
All right. Today, I would like to talk about relationship patterns. And relationship patterns is a big topic because it applies to the relationship to the one we have to ourselves as much to the relationship patterns we have in our relationship with others. And I'm not sure how far you have delved into attachment theory, but before we even go there, I would like to take you on a journey to the self, to allow new perspectives to come in and to hold space within you to be able to reveal to you new truth. And for that, it is forthcoming to have a higher perspective. And that's kind of tuning in into your inner voice. And that's the reason I would like to ask you to find a comfortable place. And we do a small guided meditation to get in a space for ourselves to expand and to be truly in contact with ourselves. So find a place where you feel comfortable and safe. Close your eyes and start really feeling where you're sitting or laying down. And take a deep breath in and slowly releasing the air. And when you release the air, release every little bit of air. And we do that 3 times. Deep breath in till the maximum. Hold for like 3 seconds and then release very, very slowly. And with the release, you go deeper and deeper and empty your stomach completely. Stay even there for 3 seconds and then breathe in slowly but mightily into your lungs. Hold it and release. From now on, breathe relaxed and follow your breath. Have your eyes closed, your outer eyes, and switch on your inner eyes. And let's scan the body to be really present here. You were just dancing, experiencing a lot of music and vibration. Let's see how your feet are vibrating. Mentally move to your feet, feel into your feet, feel into your toes. Do they touch something? Are they connected? Do they feel light? Do they feel heavy? Your feet are very important. They ground you. Remember how beautiful they ground you. All that excess energy can go into the ground and will come recycled back to you. Imagine how you have deep, deep roots, uh, Wurzeln. I'm missing the word, but energetic strings coming out of your feet that go to the center of the earth and giving you an energy exchange that is replenishing you. You're connected to the earth's energetic field with roots going deep, deep into the ground. Keep imagining that because your intention, the energy will follow. So by imagining that, you make it so. Breathe in to your chest. Feel your body full of oxygen streaming through your entire body. and giving energy to your feet and feel the connection to Earth's magnetic field. Feel connected and grounded. See if you feel some special sensations on your feet, maybe some tingling. Stay with your feet for a moment as an energy exchange center to the Earth energetic field. Then move with your awareness up your feet, up your legs to your knees, your calves. Scan further, go further up. Be in your hips. Feel your hips. Are they light? They're tight, they're open. Breathe into this area. Go further up. Your stomach, your tummy, your back. Feel this area. Breathe in deeply and exhale. Bring relaxation to the areas that might be tight. Or just vibe with the general relaxation of that area that's already present. Move further up to your chest, where your heart sits, and take a deep breath in. And put a little bit more on top, like breathe in 95% and put another 15% on top, like one more time. That helps you to expand your chest, to put more oxygen into your body, and be really connected to your heart. If you can, put your hands on your heart and really feel your heart as your center, the center of your emotions and well-beings that is closely correlated to all the other glands in your brain that tries to make sense of all the information the heart is providing. And sometimes they're a little bit in a struggle. So this is a good moment to remind the heart and the mind that they're here to co-create, to work with each other. So head and heart may be in unity. So I encourage you to feel your heart deeply, to say thank you for allowing me to connect with myself and others. Thank you for making me alive. Thank you for your innate wisdom. And have a conversation with your mind that is following this right now, to be head and heart in unity. Talk to your mind and say, thank you for guiding me. Thank you for analyzing. Thank you for overthinking at times. Now please make peace, head and heart in unity. Have a moment to let them both speak to each other, to remember that they're here for the union and the betterment of your journey, because life is meant to be a progressive journey and not an exercise of perfection. Allow that to sink in. Feel your arms, hands connected to your upper body, to your neck, to your head. It's all part of you, of that unique unit and player on this big playground of Earth. And imagine how your crown chakra is opening to receive prana, energy, wisdom from the ether, to be absorbed into your system, to nourish you, to help you develop, expand, and fold. Know that this field is benevolent. and nourishing. Feel it deeply. Say thank you for all the support and ask for guidance within to the big healing field that is surrounding us. And again, energy follows intention. Ask for this field of thriving and lovingness to guide you and support you on your journey of discovery of your patterns, and let wisdom emerge for you, for yourself, and for all your loved ones and all the other connections that you do. Let's sound and feel our own voice and vibrations within with a beautiful, long that helps us to feel our vibration, the power of our voice, and the beauty of the sound. Inhale to an Om. Now slowly close your inner eyes and open slowly your outer eyes. Move your hands, wiggle your toes, and come slowly back into the room. How do you feel now? Would somebody like, okay, some feedback? Perfect. So I think this is a good way to tune in to talk about relationship patterns. Can I have some hand signs? Who has already experiences with attachment theory? Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna have to look into the other room. Could you make a count, Chelsea? Like how many people? Approximately like 50-50 or so? Okay.
The ones that I can see, about 50%, yes.
Okay. Well, relationship patterns are formed when we are very young. And who has already delved into relationship and attachment theories has a bit of a reflection of what was going on. But since you're still here, we realize there's still more to learn and more to update. The bigger challenge is to actually be able to see those patterns and integrate. And I started this whole with a meditation to be for you to be aware of the greater player you are within that field of experiencing, to not take things too seriously and personally in a way that you can change those patterns and they're um, fluid in a way. So I would just like to create this awareness that we can actually get out of those patterns, because when I start speaking, a few triggers might come up for you um, that can be quite heartfelt, because in relationships we treat when we receive treatments, or we prefer it as we have had in our childhood, but this is unconscious. Like the relationship with our parents and how our parents loved us is how we learned how to love ourselves. And if our parents were very busy people, um, and they weren't properly loved, so they didn't know how to love ourselves. So however that pattern, how they are related to us, how they treated us with the consistency and depth, is how we learned how we should treat ourselves. Besides that, also how they interacted with each other. We absorbed that when we were children, inevitably, because this is how we learn. We were learning what is around us, is shaping, like you needed to understand this is how people interact and this is how it is. And from there, we build up our understanding of the world. So our foundation is truly the interactions with our parents or caregivers. Um, in the first years of our experience that shapes us more and more. And especially to understand that between 0 and 7 or 8 years, we are in a concept of our standing ourselves totally in relationship to the other world, that all our emotions are kind of programmed in this time, because what happens to us is kind of reason for us. This is our fault or our doing, because we cannot abstract in that age. Children cannot abstract that this is because of other circumstances. So the emotion that are built up in notional experience is the basement for all our experience we have later in life. Um, so the loss of a family member or an animal we experienced when we were children, this is a reminiscence of the intensity of the pain that we will experience when something similar happens later in our life. And a lot of psychology nowadays is healing those aspects of our childhood, which will have a domino effect and will help us in our current lives if we healed or solved or soothed those wounds profoundly, will give us a more equilibrium and more balanced and harmonious way nowadays in our adult life to to pursue our happiness. But then again, what's happiness? Happiness is balance for me. There are different perspectives out what happiness is for people. Um, and especially in relationship patterns, um, we got to see that there are relationships that are very energetic and say they have high highs and very low lows. And that's usually an indicator for a lot of drama and also instability, which is not necessarily like consistency and harmony. And this is kind of um, where one might like to choose to go. And I want to explain how to get there, which is to understand the relationship patterns and then from there have a higher awareness and changing those patterns once you understand how they came to be and what needs are not have been met yet, um, so you can get out of those patterns. Let's start with secure attachment. Secure attachment is are those people that have a um, attitudes towards life that it says, I'm okay, you're okay. And they're very easy to make friends. Um, they have secure attachments, long term relationships. It's very easy to communicate with them. And they have been given from their parents a really good upbringing in terms of self assurance and support. So secure attachment apparently like more than 60% out there, and only 40% have, let's say, a challenging attachment style. However, I think we live in 2021 now, and our attachment styles have been quite challenged. And I think the numbers are more like 80-20, and that's optimistic. So let's say secure attachment, everything is cool, I'm fine, you're fine. The second attachment style I would refer to is the anxious preoccupied, or it's called anxious preoccupied. That child has received some love, but not enough, some attention, but not enough, just enough to survive. Um, and still keep the heart open and still hoping that it's going to get some love. And later, um, in life, those people will give anything for love because that was what they missed so much in childhood, and we're still hoping for and still got a little bit that made that kept them going. So this is called anxious preoccupied, and that comes with certain uh, attachments to it. For this is the kind of relationship that feels very strangling in a way, because there's like, once you got this love, you got to hold on to it because otherwise it will go again. That was what we learned in childhood if we're anxious preoccupied. And also this attachment style is prone to codependency, because once you want to do anything for love, you will. And that means taking back your own desires, your own wishes, and live through the life of others if that setting has been given, because it's the only way how you can have a kind of secure attachment to your caregiver. And that was super important for us because survival is directly related to attachment, to connectivity, to your tribe. It's more important than food. Um, we have been taught in school food is our first primary need we have, but it's relationships, because food we still can find. If the tribe is gone and we have a banana, this is not going to help us. The tribe, the connection is actually the provision for survival. So we are so doing anything to keep those connections, even though we have denied aspects of ourselves, as painful that might be. But it helps us to survive. And it helps us to survive the childhood. The question is what we're going to do when we're grown up. Um, do those coping mechanisms and patterns still help us to have secure attachments and relationships with healthy people? They're different than what we have learned when we grow up. And that's where the challenge is, to understand our own patterns and also the others and the dynamics with it. So there was anxious preoccupied, just as an overview. The next one is dismissive. So dismissive um, attachment style, there are four attachment styles in this way, is basically saying, hold on, anxious preoccupied says, I'm not okay, but you're okay. So I will do anything to make myself okay for you. That's the dynamic. So I ask you to feel in, like, if you know this kind of feeling, and if you have that in your relationship, and what is more like feels more true to you in terms of those attachment styles. And the dismissive attachment style is basically saying, I'm okay and you're a bit questionable. So the others are the ones that we kind of like question and kind of distancing, because in childhood, um, there has been not enough love given to keep the heart of the child open. It got so hurt and it got that message that um, I can't trust anyone enough. My heart, I have to look after myself. Like the others will hurt me, so I will not open up again. And very strictly guarded. And this kind of relationship patterns also, um, seek other people who are not too coming too close. And also they like to leave before they can be left. So there's always a bit of always is it's a big word, but there's often a chase to actually get close. There's wish for closeness, but there's so much fear that they cannot be close, so that they retract and retreat, preferably. And yeah, that is the dismissive avoidance style. So those two styles, dismissive avoidant and anxious preoccupied, give a really unhealthy dynamic, as in the one, both want love, we all want love, so that's where we connect. And then the pattern comes in, which is often the anxious preoccupied chooses a dismissive because that's what they know, or vice versa, from childhood, that their needs won't be met. But this cocktail of disappointment is kind of given to us, or those dynamics, when we're really, really small, and the forms changes, we change, our partners change, but that cocktail of getting a little bit but not enough is a really good hook for us to think that this is love, because there's something really flaring up in our brains and that feels familiar, so that must be love. And that's a huge misconception about what love and relationships really looking forward to. But there's a kind of a hook, and we need to understand that this is a dynamic that, when it's not conscious, will lead to a lot of grief, because if a dismissive is coming together with the anxious preoccupied, the one feels chased and wants to run away more because the heart's opening so much, and the other that wants to open the heart and chasing the other doesn't get there, doesn't get the love, is not reciprocal. So that's a bit of a downward spiral. And I think this is very, very prevalent in a lot of relationships. And only by really allowing the communication about our needs and feelings and how we're basically programmed will help us to get out of those programs, to get into a secure attachment style where we know that we are okay and that we know the other is okay, and we're helping each other on that journey together. However, for that, we need to understand how our basic programming is, to really talk about it and talk about the triggers and the needs, and then see if we're even compatible, especially if we have that strong chemical attachment or a reaction. It could be really an indicator that this is something so familiar, that this comes from our own early childhood. And now at times doesn't necessarily mean a good thing if your parents didn't have a happy relationship in that way. So this way, like the three um, attachment styles in a nutshell. There's a fourth one, which is basically a combination of all. And it's called the disorganized or insecure attachment style. And often with this style, the child has been through a lot of trauma and it never learned healthy attachment because there was so much upheaval in there, that today they're wavering between very close and pushing away. So there's this come here, go away, confusing, very difficult to hold on longer relationships. There was never really a secure attachment provided or model that allowed them to self-regulate with another person in a healthy way. And to understand those styles and where we are is maybe a little bit of a bummer, or feels a little bit oopsie. How did I get there? However, the biggest challenges hold also the strongest gifts for us in a lot of ways, by understanding that, and understanding that our parents gave us those gifts. And I have to breathe here because I say gifts and I know how hard it is to, you know, often it was childhood abuse, but right now you're grown up, you're out of it, and you probably still drag some emotions from that with you. However, with you, it can stop. You understand where it comes from. You don't have to give it further, and you can make out of this dirt that has been given to you. Out of this, you can grow your lotus by understanding and loving yourself and giving you the love that you haven't received enough in that time to heal yourself to a more secure attachment style, to come into balance. I mean, it's a wish. However, I also understand if you like the up and down in relationships, like that immense high, and then, when the immense depth, difficult times come, I guess that's the moment where, those questions are challenged. I think I just would like to offer you the understanding of those relationship patterns that high and dopamine experiences and really going high up, and then they're crashing again, and then there's conflict and drama created to get those emotions, and then it's this kind of relationship style. um, and we can all have preferences. However, it takes a toll on the body and our emotional state, that relationships that going like more steady and where partners can help each other to calibrate their um, their systems and nervous systems, and that help each other to relax and calm and process and prosper, is something to strive for. So as understanding those patterns is a prerequisite to go into conscious relationships. And also, I think it helps to understand how your parents treated you, why you treat yourself this way. Any questions for what I said so far, or remarks? I'm asking the room. Hello. Yes, Azzurro, would you like to say something?
I just wanted to respond to your hellos. I think my microphone is very bad.
Say again? Sorry, it's a bit cracking. Azzurro? Chelsea?
Yes, he said his microphone is cracking a bit, but he wanted to respond to what you said. Azura, if you want to write it, I can speak it.
Okay.
Maybe this one is better.
Much better.
No, it felt so like you were reaching out and nobody was reacting, and so I felt like I have to react. That was all.
Okay. Okay, I would like to hear some feedback from you. Who have you listened to yourself inside? Do you know which attachment style you have? You have idea what kind of attachment style you have or carry mostly?
Yes, I like that as a question. Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so if I am constantly reaching out and the other person is pulling away, how would I go about breaking that pattern after recognizing it?
Okay.
Bia, did you get the whole question? Because it broke
Yes,
up.
like basically he's in a chasing mode. Like that sounds like it. He's chasing something and the person you're
Yeah.
chasing is kind of like not responding. Okay. So that person, the other person, does it have a, would you think that, is it a female? Yes, no? Okay. So do you think she has a dismissive attachment style that, too much love or too much attention makes them uncomfortable? Greg, keep your microphone open because I can speak to you. I think you're representing a lot of people.
It closed on its own, sorry. Yes, she does have a pull away, don't get too close to me pattern that I recognize from her history.
Okay. And would you consider yourself as an anxious preoccupied or a secure attachment?
Well, I've never been known to chase before, but I don't know. I thought I recognized something. I wasn't looking for someone, and so when it showed up, I thought, "Well, hey, this is a gift." And so, of course, I feel like I need to make some changes on my own for a relationship. And I kind of went about that pattern, and at the same time pleasing her, but nothing ever seems to.
Nothing ever seems to, and then you cut out. Okay, Greg, you cut out on this one, but I think I got your the dynamics. The, yeah, I think
Craig, I would suggest typing the question because the Wi-Fi is not connecting very well.
Okay, let me answer to this. I think I got because the audio is playing up now. Okay, so well, it sounds like there was a connection, but when you get closer, you feel. I hear myself. That's the reason I'm like.
Yeah, I think we just have to, Craig. I think we just have to keep your mic muted because the Wi-Fi isn't really connecting very well. But if you type it, that would be great.
Yes. Okay, better. Thank you. So the anxious so what you said basically, you were still working on it. You enjoy, or there is a chasing factor in it, and when we choose dismissive partners, because she obviously, whenever it gets closer, she goes back, and got to understand that this is a core wound, that we all want to open our hearts and we want to be open to God, or being the facilitators to open us up to God and our hearts open. But we're also all on a journey of healing our hearts. And we have suffered tremendous wounds with our heart, with our early connections to people. So when you offer something your heart and you come closer, it's perceived as a dangerous thing, because the moment and the missive feels his heart's open, it's wonderful, and there's a bit of going in that direction. And then the idea comes of the pain that's associated with opening the heart too wide. And that's where the idea comes in, like, this is too dangerous, and then they pull back. Now, in conscious relationships, and I imbued you to consider a conscious relationship, is like, hey, I really like you. I would like to have a consistent relationship with you. I notice that whenever I come closer, you seem to run away, or you seem to be pulled away. How do you feel about it? And you might find that the other person likes you, but is scared of getting too close. So this needs to be communicated. And for anxious preoccupied, or for someone who seeks connection more than anything, because there wasn't enough connection, there was a lack of connection in childhood, that is like a red thread that goes through our entire lives, and we're trying to feed that, but we do it unconsciously. However, we can change those patterns in relationships only, because what has happened to us in relationship can only be healed in relationships. We can do a lot of internal work, but it always will be proven being in a relationship with someone. So doing it consciously, we can overcome those patterns and communicate, because an anxious preoccupied wants to know that everything is okay, and there's still a connection. That's all anxious preoccupied, like preliminary need, to feel safe, to be in connection. And dismissive, avoidant, doesn't want to be too much reminded of it, and needs like the time and space to retreat. And we need to learn to honor that as well for ourselves. We can learn that a lot. Speaking out of the mindset that I realized that a lot of my attachment styles, although I'm more insecure by now, comes also from an anxious preoccupied space in childhood. So what I'm saying is to have an open connection, open communication with that person, and asking them to basically signal what they need, their true needs are, so they feel safe with you, and your integrity, to give them space and not to shame them in a way, oh, you run away, and making this kind of comments, because it's even pulling them more, like trying to be manipulative in this kind of way. So being really upfront and talking about your needs of connection, and being in a relationship that they just have to say to you, if they want to be in a deeper relationship, it's like, I need some space, but I'm connected to you. I value you and respect you. So that reaffirms, or something that reaffirms the connection. And with that, the chasing has been done, and the one that runs away is not running away, it's just taking some space, and this other one has the understanding of, okay, this is right now some space for them, and I do something for myself. So that's a model for a more healthy way how to interact with this chasing modality. However, it's a very dominant pattern in our lives, because it's like gambling. Like, this chasing is like, once we are successful in our chases, we have a huge release of dopamine, of body on morphins. We get a real high from that, and then we want to get more and more, but we don't get it. So it's an intermittent patterns, and intermittent patterns are super strong addictive patterns that keep us in those bounds and keep
Hey,
us.
Bea, can you speak into your mic just a little bit more so we can hear you a little
Okay.
louder?
Yeah. That keeps us in those unhealthy dynamics and doesn't allow us to progress in a relationship, like going this way upwards. Like, we still have up and downs, but it will be more consistent and a kind of more in a softer and easier way for both partners in those relationships. And for the disorganized, insecure attachment style, they really need to find partners that are willing to go with them all the way and talk about being very open about the triggers and flashbacks. They still hold emotional triggers, because we all do hold those triggers and patterns. And we need to communicate and build understanding, being seen, and also accommodate this. Like, this is what adult or conscious relationships are about, to know ourselves and to dance with each other by knowing our needs. And often that's kind of like blended out by Hollywood, that gives us certain patterns that are completely unreal and have nothing to do with true relationships. That's been said. Any feedback or any questions? And Greg, are you satisfied with that answer? Okay, I just got the thumbs up from you. Thank you. All right. Anyone else who would like to add something or ask me something? Right. So let's talk about the relationship with ourselves, to really change the patterns. Like, I will share later a link with a video that explains the attachment styles and relationship patterns within 5 minutes. So you can delve deeper again into it and understand the dynamics. I was just basically feeling into the space and making understanding that this is a thing, it's real. And with people who have not worked on themselves, you can see it quite clearly where they are. With people who have worked on themselves, it's not so clear anymore, because you can get out of that. And we all kind of strive more and more to get to the understanding, I'm okay, you're okay. Anxious, preoccupied, I'm not okay, you're okay. Dismissive is, I'm okay, you're not okay, right? And yes. And the disorganized is basically, I'm not okay and you're not okay. Nothing is okay in relationships. Just to understand, like, basically from which angle everyone comes. Change. What does it mean my style changes with different people? Good question. Well, one could say you have a repertoire, and who you as character kind of chose in a relationship brings a certain pattern with them. And if they have a strong pattern, you might just adapt to theirs. So you can be in a relationship with them. But basically, it has more to do of how much you open your heart. If you're in a relation, but you're not so much in love, but you're still in a relation, maybe you tend to be more dismissive. And as deeper it goes and you more open your heart, um, it can get so scary that you want to hold on more. So it's kind of the question of the depths of your relationship where you are, and we're also developing all the time. But we want to develop towards secure attachment style, um, because if we come out of a relationship with someone who has hurt us, or like let's say a narcissistic relationship with a codependent, um, you know that goes through all our relationships with ourselves and everyone else. It has kind of taken the self away. And I think the important message is to re-establish a relationship to ourselves first, and then see who we are in contact with and what their patterns are, and how we want to or can truly relate to those. If we're a little bit dismissive, can we really handle a full-blown anxious preoccupied that needs constant reassurance and has controlling aspects? Or are they so aware of those patterns in this moment that one can work together with them, because we are here and understand that this is a program that we have and it's not us. It's just a program. I can reprogram, I can change that, but I need you to help me to change that with you. And I see you and I see your patterns. Let's get together into secure attachment. So that's the kind of theme. And before we even get there, we got to imply and employ self love. And how we can do that. This is the most important sentence I'm going to speak today. Please remember this one and keep asking this, because that's the key to self love. For whatever you do, keep asking yourself, what would somebody do who loves himself now? Let that sink in and feel the answer coming deeply from within you. That's the reason why we did the meditation, to have that inner voice, to access the inner voice, to remind you you have that inner voice. Do this kind of meditations. And whatever you do, whatever you eat, to which party you go, to who you should see or who you should not see this evening or afternoon, who you want to spend time with, you truly know what's good for you within. Your body knows, your higher self knows. Our subconscious sometimes knows, but we don't know so much. So this sentence is a beautiful guideline for you to make better decisions that more aligned with self-love. And with this self-love as a basis, you can go out to create beautiful relationships, because you want to be in a relationship with someone that loves themselves and thus is capable of loving you. So that same is for us. We need to love ourselves. Need. It would be beautiful if we can love ourselves more and more, because it has to be true, whatever we tell ourselves. If we don't really truly love ourselves, and I know it's hard, um, we are all on that path of healing our hearts and loving ourselves better. And if we're in a relationship with someone that reflects what they love in us, that helps us to remind ourselves why we are lovable, and that helps in a relationship with each other. And one of the big hints out of relationship theory is the most surviving or the most successful relationships had a quota of 5-1 of basically saying appreciation versus resentments. Relationships need to have been able to express that, a resentment and appreciation, because we're there to mirror each other, not just to have a everyday kind of routine, but we're there for each other to learn, to grow, and to mirror each other with honesty and sincerity. And with this, we can heal ourselves. So saying resentment is very important because it's your truth and nothing can change if that doesn't come out. If you suppress that, it won't last long because it's like a teapot. Eventually, the water will boil over. So you need to open up the pot and do leave the resentments out. However, to keep the flavor happening, you got to do at least 5 appreciations with 1 resentment. So the person doesn't take it personal or understands that it's just one thing and we are entitled to have our preferences as much as the other person. And we need to learn to live through this discomfort because that is the change that actually occurs. Shadow work without discomfort is no shadow work. And relationships are shadow work because in every relationship, the stuff is coming up. As more as we connect our hearts, as more as we're feeling close and connected to the other person, we will, and our subconscious will be inclined to show our dark sides, to show our shadows, to finally be seen, heard, and healed because we chose the person in the first place under the belief and hope that this will help us to heal, if we're really honest, that this will make us whole. Although, of course, we want to be whole first. So the other one, we make more of this, but we got to be realistic. We are not all 100% whole yet, mostly, for the enlightened ones. Excuse me. We're going this way together and being honest about it, about our needs and appreciation is a really beautiful way to changing our patterns. And as I said, I will share the video, which gives you understanding of patterns. But more important is for me today to remind you on your creatorship level that you can change those patterns with self-love, truthful communication, owning your resentments, and sharing your appreciations, because that will make the relationship blossom even further and give you new gifts. Right. So we have 6 more minutes. Any questions? Feedbacks? What do you say? Stephanie, Allison, Jessica, Jay, Shimmer. I saw you laughing. You had a good time there.
I have a question. I just wrote it in the chat. Can you recommend any good books to learn more about what you're talking about? Because it's such an amazing subject. It just seems like there's a lot to learn.
Oh, there are a lot of books on relaxation.
I'm sure there are a lot. Like, can you recommend some good ones?
I will share a reading list.
Awesome, thank you.
And also like some YouTube videos, which
I
I
think we
found
lost your volume for a moment. Did you guys all hear her?
Yes.
No. Okay. But yeah, I think we lost your volume.
You guys lost my volume?
Now we got you back.
Okay, sorry. Yes, I will share a reading list and I will share also some videos because I feel there's a lot of good videos out there also for you to share, because a book, I appreciate the depths you want to delve into it. If you want to make people aware of this, there's a 5-minute video that gives a really, really good overview. And I will also share some of the teachers, online teachers that I dwell on a lot myself. That helps with a better understanding of those relationship patterns. But basically, Bowlby in 1959 started the whole attachment theory, and they started basically looking at children as young as a year old and their attachment patterns to their mothers. That was kind of a precursor how the attachment patterns later in life is. But not necessarily, because a lot of things happen in our development, and if it's early on. I just see there's something coming in. I would like to be on the book reading and video list I'm about. Okay. Yes, I would. We'll share that. I lost my thread. However, I would also like to share something more about how to change that patterns. So we're not getting in that sort of victim mentality that this happened to us, but more that this is basic where we can grow and what needs to be done to be more secure and with that more stable and harmonious and loving in our relationships. That's where I would like to focus. And if you have any questions or you would like to go deeper, I do private video sessions and workshops that delve in relationship patterns and basically conscious relationships, how to transform that into more healthy, workable relationships for both people.
Beautiful.
And taking this basically to next level, like, to Tantra. I said like my themes are from trauma to Tantra. Relationships patterns is the first cornerstone to understand oneself better and work from there into more healthy conscious relationships, and how to open up, how to work with the nervous system with each other to actually go together into tantric states in more profound way. That was my point.
Amazing, Bia. And I'll also add, Bia is one of our master coaches for our Metamorphosis Mastermind. So a lot of you guys went through that mastermind. We just finished up the round a couple of days ago. And so we have 4 master coaches that are a part of that. And Bia talks all about healing relationship patterns. And then we have 3 other coaches talking about embodying the inner king, the healthy masculine, embodying the inner queen, the healthy feminine, and then today you'll hear from the love gurus that are talking about embodying wholeness. So Bia is our one of our master coaches. She's the first week of that program. So Bia, we loved having you at the last mastermind. That was super, super special. And yeah, for anyone that has an interest in it, Narissa went through the program, Em went through the program, so you're able to message them, ask them questions. There's a couple other people that you can ask questions, Michael, Rosenboom, and yeah, and you can also reach out to Bia. I think we're going to put a link of how you can connect with her here. Yes, we already have that one here. Either Instagram, or I know that you're more active on Facebook, so either of those. Does that work for you, Bia?
Yes, and also WhatsApp, like, you can reach me on my German WhatsApp number. If you have any questions, I'm happy to give you some time to delve deeper.
Beautiful, amazing. And before we transition, I would love it if you have your camera off and if you feel comfortable. I would love to see your beautiful faces. It'd be amazing to just see all of your shining faces, and everyone just give each other a little wave. And let's just pour some energy and love into each other so that we can infuse one another with beautiful connection. And I invite you all to go ahead and just make eye contact with each person in the space, sending them love with their gaze, including Bia, thanking her for this beautiful journey. And for every other person in this space, just giving them some love. And if you don't want to have your camera on, that's totally okay. But if you feel comfortable, this is just a beautiful moment to just connect with other people. Because of course we're sitting here learning from all these speakers, but this journey is also about connecting with each other in this space.